Welcome back! Our recipe for today is nothing. We can't cook anything because my LPG stove hasn't been keeping too well these days. So I thought, let's make it happy. Let's have a look at what's wrong and then I'll tell you what we'll be doing in today's session. Let's light the stove to understand what's wrong. It works perfectly when the flame is high, but as soon as you reduce it, the flame flickers, goes bug 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 bug, which is not normal. And when you suddenly turn the heat low, it just doesn't like to stay on. This is a common issue with LPG stoves. Nothing too major here, just that the valve has got choked up. I remember when this used to happen in my childhood, my mom used to quickly lift the phone and call the technician. And then that guy used to come at his own sweet time and service the LPG stove with some really special tools. But after servicing, the LPG stove burnt bright and happy, and it used to feel like magic. But all that is no rocket science, and even you can do it. Our today's video is just that. How to service your LPG gas stove with basic home tools. I've done this before on my mom's gas stove and the results were very positive. The stove is still, got it right? And we are going to do the same with our gas stove. This one's 10 years old and this is the first service in its lifetime. So let's begin. But before that, let's go down. This is a step 1. We're not servicing the motorcycle. This is actually step 1 of our servicing. Let's take some petrol. We'll need about 150 ml to clean all the parts. Petrol helps to get rid of grease, carbon, stubborn stains. You can use kerosene as well, but petrol certainly cleans better and doesn't leave behind any stain. Make sure you turn off the regulator before doing any kind of repairs on your LPG stove. Remove all the parts on top before disassembly, like stands, trays, burner caps. Uh-oh, that's jammed. We'll sort that out later. Remove both knobs. Some knobs are fastened by a screw on the side. In that case, remove the screw and then the knob. This knob easily comes off by pulling it out, and if it's jammed, use a screwdriver to pry it out. Let's overturn the stove. That's the gas supply tube. Gas enters from here and goes to the burner via this valve, and likewise to the other burner. Let's remove both burners, but for that we'll need to open the wing nut. Quite tight, so let's use a pair of pliers. Oh, that's tight. Once more, and yes. Lift it like so and remove it. Remove the other burner. Good. Unfasten these two screws which look like this from the other end. In my stove, one screw has a nut at the end and the other screw is fastened to the valve body. Use a spanner for the nut. This one's 8 mm. Hold it like so and use a screwdriver to open the screw. Don't have a screwdriver? Use pliers. Grab the nut like so and then use a screwdriver. Let's open all the screws. This will release both the knob plates. I'll loosen the nut with a spanner. And there comes out the screw along with the knob plate. Check out the rust. We'll clean this later. Store all the screws, nuts and washers safely. This screw without the nut holds the valve body and the one with nut holds the knob plate. The screws in your gas stove may be fitted differently depending on the model. Anyway, you have to open all the screws. Disconnect the gas pipe. I should have done this earlier, but it's okay. Remove the pipe so we can separate the metal tube from the stove body. Done. Remove the tube and now let's service it. It's useful to know how things work before we service them. When we rotate the knob, this tiny hole called jet releases gas into the burner. This is the side view. That's the off position. That's high. That's low. And now off. Remember to grease the guide for smooth movement. We'll have to remove this tiny screw to release the valve. Press the spindle down and use a small screwdriver to unfasten the screw. That's the spindle, and there's a small spring that came out as well. Valve comes out easily like so. That's so dirty. And that's the inside of the valve body. The valve has two holes. The big one is for high flame and the small one is for slow or simmer. Yes, this tiny hole right at the center. Both holes, especially the small one, gets choked with grease, dust and carbon. Let's take some petrol and clean all the parts of the valve. With a toothbrush. Spring is easy, just get rid of the old grease. Spindle. Tiny little brass screw. And most important, valve. Clean it properly from outside. Force the bristles in the tiny hole to unclog them. Clean the small hole with a thin needle. The hole can be very small, so clean carefully. To clean this hole from where gas exits the valve, use a earbud. Now let's remove the fine black scratches on the valve. Use a 1000 grit sandpaper that's easily available at any hardware store. Soak a small piece in petrol and scrub the valve in the direction of the scratches, like so. And with just a little scrubbing, see the difference. Here are the black scratches. And check this out. It's shining like gold. Let's scrub to remove all the stains. And that's it. I forgot to mention that you can use strands of copper wire to unclog the small hole. Like so. Now let's clean the inside of the valve body and this jet as well. Clean the jet the way we clean the tiny holes in the valve. Insert as many strands. Clean it thoroughly. Clean the exterior of the valve body and don't forget to clean the screw guide. If you don't have a piece of wire, you can clean the jet this way with the help of a toothbrush. This is much easier. Just force the bristles into the jet. The inside of the valve body can be easily cleaned with a earbud. Clean it properly and done. Since we have disassembled, might as well clean the other valve too. Now let's clean the screws, nuts, washers and knob plates. Dry it with some cotton waste or piece of cotton cloth. Now here's how the valve works. Gas enters through here and enters the valve body from this hole inside. Like I said earlier, the big hole is for high flame and the small one for low. And this is from where the gas exits and then releases via the jet. Valve goes into the body like that. This is off position. When we set the flame to high, gas enters through this hole and exits via the jet. Now that's low flame. Gas enters through this tiny hole, exits from here, and then releases via the jet. So this is fast, slow, fast again, and then off. These are the 4 parts we have to fit. First goes in the valve, then spring, then spindle, and this hole is to fasten the screw. Let's lubricate the parts. It's best to use silicone grease, but I'm using regular grease. Use a earbud. We'll start with the inside of the valve body. Apply a thin coating. Now valve. Keep grease away from the tiny holes. Apply lightly and then carefully smear with your finger. Grease the tip as well. Valve goes inside the body. For now, keep this cut facing up in line with the guide. Now spring. Light layer of grease. Insert it behind the valve. Now spindle. This part with the cut will stay out and the tip of the spring will fit in here. Lightly grease the spindle as well. The spindle has a big hole and a small hole. Keep the big hole facing up, else the screw won't fit. Insert it like so. The screw hole should be centered between the cut on the valve. Keep the spindle pressed in and fasten the screw. It can slip away easily. Be careful. Tighten lightly, and there it is. Grease the screw guide for smooth movement of the knob. And that's it. Assemble the other valve the same way. Let's clean the burner. These stains may have appeared due to occasional spilling of milk, tea and other liquids. Take a piece of 400 grit sandpaper. Lightly scrub the patches. Very easy. After scrubbing, wipe the dust with some cotton waste or a piece of cotton cloth and done. This happens when holes in the burner cap get blocked. Check all the holes and unblock them with a needle or a compass from a geometry set. Nice! Rest of the holes look clean. Now scrub off all the carbon with a piece of 400 grit sandpaper. You can immediately notice the difference. Tap it lightly to get rid of the dust. Wipe it clean. And check this out. Now this burner with a jammed cap. First, let's get rid of all the stains. These parts are made from aluminum and are very easy to clean. That's nice. Now let's free the cap. We'll use some WD-40. Spray some in the gap between the cap and the body and allow it to rest for 15 to 20 minutes for the spray to do its work. There is slight movement, but it's still quite jammed. No worries. Gently pry with a screwdriver. No brute force. Jai Siya Ram. These rims will have to be cleaned so the burner cap moves freely. Use a 400 grit sandpaper. Don't forget to wipe it clean. Scrub and clean the burner cap as well. Oh, there's a blocked hole. Clean it. And all clear. Now check out how free it's become. Yay! Okay, let's get rid of the carbon. And that's it. These are all the parts that we just cleaned. Valve assembly, knob plates, knobs, all screws, washers, nuts, big burner and small burner that now moves freely. Soak some cotton waste or cotton cloth with kerosene and clean the areas that are hard to reach and usually don't get cleaned regularly. Clean the bolt threads, area behind knob plates, outer surface of the stove body, I clean it every day, but still, let's do it. Now let's check for valve leakage. First, shut off the valves. Use the knobs, easier. Connect the pipe. Turn on the regulator. We will check for leakage on both ends of the valve. Take a bowl of water. Immerse the valve assembly like so. You shouldn't see gas bubbles coming out. That's on. And no leakage in off position. Let's check the other valve. Check as many times as you wish until you're sure there's no leakage. Perfect. Soak up excess water. It will mostly be dry due to the grease we applied. Turn off the regulator. Disconnect the pipe. This tube is perfect. Now let's fit it into the stove body. Fitting is just reverse disassembly. Simply fit everything the way they came off. Very easy. Place the tube in its position. Spindle comes out through this cutout. Knob plate. Because the stove is overturned, it will fit this way, upside down. First, this screw that fits into the valve body, the one without nut. For now, tighten lightly just to hold it in place. Now the screw with nut. First hand tight, and then I'll use a spanner. Now tightly secure the first screw. Repeat the same on the other side. And that's perfect fit. Before fitting the burners, grease the threads so the wing nuts fit smoothly. This is where the small burner fits. Fit the burners in their respective original places. The jet will go in here and the other end will fit over the bolt, like so. Tighten the wing nut. First tighten and then use pliers for that tight fit. The other burner fits the same way. There goes the wing nut and done. Almost done. Fit all the parts that go on top. Burner caps, both trays, stands, knobs, wow! This knob rotates so smoothly now. Let's connect the gas pipe. Turn on the regulator and time to check. It's much brighter now, and even flame going off in low has resolved. Wow! Awesome! Burner cap holes are also not blocked anymore. Let's check the other burner. It's burning much brighter than before, and it's bright even at low flame. Awesome! I hope you got to learn a lot from this session. Now what shall I do? It's midnight and dinner's not ready yet. So we'll have to make something quick and easy, healthy and tasty. And that's inside this pressure cooker. An all-in-one meal that has the goodness of grains, variety of vegetables, and you can check out the video in the I button. Till then, cook healthy and एक minute. Stay healthy.